AMD has finally revealed its next generation of desktop processors. The company today announced the Ryzen 5000 series of CPUs based on its latest Zen 3 architecture. 4 new models were announced today, which start at $299 and go all the way up to $799. Before starting a video, subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon so you will never miss my new video. Let's talk about the new Ryzen 5000 series. Starting at the top, we have the new Ryzen 9 5950X, which has 16 cores and 32 threads. This new chip is capable of 3.4 GHz base clock and 4.9 GHz boost clock. AMD claims the 5950X has the highest single and multi-threaded performance of any mainstream desktop CPU. The CPU also has a massive 64 MB of L3 cache spread across its 2 chiplets. It has a TDP of 105W. The 5950X is priced at $799 and replaces the previous 3950X, which was priced at $749. It will compete with the 18-core Intel Core i9-10980XE. Next is the Ryzen 9 5900X, which has 12 cores and 24 threads. The 5900X is capable of a 3.7 GHz base clock and 4.8 GHz boost clock. AMD claims this makes it the best gaming CPU on the market. The 5900X also has 64 MB of L3 cache spread across 2 chiplets and a TDP of 105W. The 5900X is priced at $549 and replaces the $499 3900X. It will compete with the 10-core Intel Core i9-10900K. Coming down the price ladder, we have the Ryzen 7 5800X, which has 8 cores and 16 threads. The 5800X can do 3.8 GHz as a base clock and 4.7 GHz as a boost clock. It is a single chiplet design, with all 8 cores and the full 32 MB cache on the single CCX. The 5800X also has a 105W TDP. The 5800X is priced at $449 and replaces the $399 3800X. It will compete with the 8-core Intel Core i7-10700K. Finally, there's the Ryzen 5 5600X, which has 6 cores and 12 threads. It has a base clock of 3.7 GHz and a boost clock of 4.6 GHz. It also has 32 MB of L3 cache on its single chiplet but with a reduced TDP of 65W. The 5600X is the only one out of this bunch that will come with a stock cooler in the box. The Ryzen 5 5600X is priced at $299 and will replace the $249 3600X. It will compete with the 6-core Intel Core i5-10600K. AMD hasn't yet detailed all of the changes in the new Zen 3 architecture, other than stating that it is a completely new architecture built from the ground up and not an evolution like the previous 2 architectures. The company is touting a 19% improvement to IPC or instructions per clock, which is often used as a measure for a processor's efficiency. The 19% figure comes from averaging a bunch of gaming and workstation tasks, so it's not 19% across every task you do. Due to an improvement in efficiency, AMD was able to increase the performance without increasing power consumption. These new Ryzen chips have the same TDP and similar board power draw as previous generation chips, meaning you are getting more work done for the same amount of energy consumed. You may have noticed the change to the chiplet design. AMD has been using chiplets instead of a monolithic design that Intel uses, which allows it to pack in more cores but at the cost of increased latency due to communication delay between the CCX modules. The Zen 3 processors have chiplets that can have either 6 or 8 cores each with 32 MB of L3 cache, which means chips like the 5800X and 5600X can only have a single CCX with all of its cache on it, thereby significantly reducing the internal latency and reducing having to resort to writing to the system memory, which is much slower. This also affects the higher core parts like the 5900X and 5950X to a lesser extent. You may have also noticed that prices have gone up across the board by $50. This is on top of the fact that there are no non-XSKUs this year. Speaking of Intel, AMD did reveal some gaming figures during its keynote. Being first-party results, they should be taken with a pinch of salt. However, it's hard not to be impressed with what AMD has finally achieved here. The 5900X, which AMD used for its comparison with a 2080Ti and 16GB DDR4 3600 MHz memory against a 1090K on a similar setup, posted higher results almost across the board than the Intel part. This seems to indicate Intel's decisive victory over AMD in gaming seems to be at an end. There's no point showing the productivity results as AMD was already ahead there. At the end of the keynote, AMD also gave a sneak peek at the upcoming Radeon RX 6000 series graphics card. One unspecified model was shown along with some performance numbers. These cards will be revealed later on October 28th. The new Ryzen 5000 series will be available for purchase starting November 5th. They will be compatible with all motherboards running B550 and X570 chipsets at launch. B450 motherboards will get a beta BIOS update in January 2021 that should allow users to use these new chipsets on select B450 motherboards. In Cinebench R20 single-thread, AMD is claiming the Ryzen 9 5900X will hit a score of 631, making it the first desktop processor to hit the 600-point mark. That's with the IPC improvements and the slight clock speed jump to 4.8 GHz turbo. Previously, AMD would get around 530 in this benchmark with the 3950X, which means we could be seeing a 100-point or 19% performance improvement, which is right on what AMD has said should be the average IPC gain. Intel's Core i9-1090K in our testing scored 551, so this would make the 5900X 15% faster. AMD is claiming Ryzen 5000 is the fastest CPU on the market in their performance charts, which were tested at 1080p high settings using an RTX 2080 Ti and DDR4-3600 memory for all configurations including Intel's. The Ryzen 9 5900X was up to 25% faster in many CPU-limited titles than the Ryzen 9 3900 XT, and some gains were up to 50% higher like in League of Legends and CSGO, according to AMD's numbers. When compared to the competition, AMD expects to beat the i9-1090K in most games. What's most impressive here is that in games where AMD has struggled in the past like Far Cry New Dawn, AMD is now claiming a performance lead. In our benchmarking, the 1090K was 18% faster than the 3950X in Far Cry, but now AMD says it's 2% ahead of Intel, which is a very minor lead, but given where AMD is coming from, it makes it a little more impressive, and will put AMD in the conversation for those that want the best of the best gaming CPU. In other titles, AMD is typically claiming approximately 5% lead on Intel's best gaming processor. AMD told us that they don't expect to beat Intel in every game, but that they should come pretty close, and on occasion, the wins can be significant. Of course, we'll have to see where AMD ends up in our benchmark suite, but with this generation, AMD has gone from claiming they are in contention to being possibly the fastest. AMD also states they have the fastest processor for single-thread heavy productivity workloads like SolidWorks. When comparing the R9 5950X to the 1090K, AMD showed a 6% lead assisted by a 27% gain in performance over their previous generation flagship. The graphics card was shown off playing a game paired with a Ryzen 5000 CPU, and we also got only a handful of benchmark figures. Shown below is Borderlands 3, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and Gears of War 5 played at 4K using maximum quality settings. All games were playable at 60+ FPS. We don't know whether this is the highest end part in AMD's lineup, but the product shown is producing performance around the mark of Nvidia's GeForce RTX 3080. Here is a complete list of new Ryzen 500 series desktop processors launching on the 5th of November. Check the complete list below. We'll learn more about the Radeon RX 6000 series at AMD's October 28th event, but we guess a little bit of a teaser won't hurt anyone. That's it for AMD's Zen 3 announcement, and now we'll just have to wait until we get these chips on hand and benchmark them. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and also click on the bell icon so you will not miss my new video. Stay tuned. Goodbye.